everyone, it's John from What Up, and welcome back to another video. And the Season 2 finale of The Wheel of Time just finished airing a few short hours ago, and I've watched it a couple of times, so at this point, I'm ready to give you folks my unfiltered thoughts. Now, if you've been around the channel for a while, you've been subscribed for a bit, you know how I do my reviews, but if you're new here, welcome to What Up, thank you for watching. We do our reviews just a little bit differently than some other content creators. Essentially, I review the show based on its own merits. I kind of ignore the source material exists when I give it a scoring and when I talk about things I liked and I didn't like, elements that worked and didn't work for me. I don't allow changes from the source material to either add to or take away from the final score I give the episode at all. So I'll review this show much like I would review any other show. I'm not taking the books into account. That doesn't mean I won't reference them here and there when I talk about certain things, but I don't use them as a basis for the score in any way, shape, or form. Now, I do my reviews in two parts. First half of this video will be completely spoiler-free, so I'll talk about the episode in very general terms, talk about things I liked, things I didn't like, things I thought that worked, that didn't work, and give it a score out of 10. Then I'll give a spoiler warning, and we'll talk about the episode in detail. I'll give specific examples to back up things I liked, things I didn't like, things that I thought maybe didn't work so well, or things that really popped on the screen, but I'll give specific examples from the episode. So if you haven't seen it yet, and you're going to watch it in the next coming days, and you want to hear my thoughts on it, the first half of the video is for you, or you just don't care about spoilers at all and you've already seen the episode, the whole video, absolutely watch the entire thing. All of that being said, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so, because we're doing Easter egg videos, reviews, and breakdowns for every episode of Season 2, and we're also covering show news. So right now there's a ton of news coming out about Season 3, because they are filming at least for the next month or so, and there's some rumors, there's some leaks, there's all kinds of things coming out about that, and I have a ton of leaks for Season 3 to share with you folks over the coming months. So if you like that sort of thing and you want to hear about the next season of The Wheel of Time, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because we have a ton of content coming out in the foreseeable future. Now, all of that being said, let's get on to the spoiler-free portion of the review of the finale of Season 2 of The Wheel of Time. Alright, so if you noticed a bit of an editing jump there, it's because I'm having a very hard time tonight, folks. Normally my reviews are one and done. I'll sit down, I'll give my unfiltered thoughts and opinions. I'm quite happy with what I put out. No script, off the cuff. It's how I do my videos. I record it, edit it, very minimal editing, and I put it out. I'm having a very hard time this evening finding the right words to articulate what I want to say in the proper format. I just really am. So I'm finding myself going back and re-recording this a lot. So I want to preface the rest of the review by saying a couple of different things. The first thing is I truly do love the show. I really do. I thought Season 2 was phenomenal. Most of the episodes were amazing, and in fact a couple of them were as close to perfect TV as you can possibly get, and I gave them very, very high reviews. In general, I love the show. I love the adaptation. I think they're doing a fantastic job, and that what follows in my review is my truthful opinion that is not influenced by anyone or anything. It also totally is not influenced by the book series in any way, shape, or form. I'm not letting the source material change my scoring or the way I do my reviews. That being said, because I'm being truthful, not everyone is going to agree with me, and that's totally fine. Not everyone has to. When I say I love the show, a lot of people don't agree with me, and I hear about it in the comments down below. It's totally fine not to like the show, as long as you are able to articulate why you don't like it and don't resort to attacking the people who make the show. I'm completely open to listening to that. When I am critical of the show, and let's face it, I've been critical of the show in the past, and I probably will be in the future as well. I also seem to get some comments of people not agreeing with me because there are people that think the show can do no wrong. So there seems to be a lot of people out there, especially content creators, that are in the I love everything camp or the I hate everything camp. I am in neither. I love the show in general, but there are some things about it that I dislike, and I do have some constructive criticism about it because it's not perfect. Not everything can be perfect. All right, that being said, Season 2 was phenomenal. Episodes 1 through 7 were great. Episode 8 kind of dropped off a cliff for me. So it is my least favorite episode of the season, and I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10. All right, so things they did well in this episode, there were a lot. I want to say the acting was top notch. It only seems to get better every episode they film, and the acting was never poor. It was always very, very good. I thought the acting right from season 1, episode 1 was great, and it just got better as we went along. Season 2, no exception to that. The actors seems to get better every time they're on screen. Now, that being said, there were a couple of actors that really shone more than other people on the screen, and I can't wait to see more of them. They really did a great job with their characters, and I want to talk about that more in the spoiler section. The visuals. This episode was visually stunning. It looked really well. The wide sweeping landscape shots, the sets, the costumes, the way they showcased and framed certain things, it was immaculate. It was gorgeous. And there were a couple of times I actually paused the episode just to look at what was on the screen. There were a number of times they framed a shot specifically that just made it look like a hero shot, so to speak. It looked amazing. Now, part and parcel to that, the cinematography, again, top notch. They all deserve a raise for this particular episode. There were a number of sequences where they had multiple camera angles, multiple shots all happening at the same time, and it enhanced the action, it enhanced the things that were going on the screen. I thought the way they cut between different angles, the way they filmed, the way they showcased certain things, absolutely amazing. And there were a couple of storylines in this episode that were pretty near perfect. So the cold open and the final 2 minutes of the episode were amazing. I can't say much more without spoiling it, but I will say if the entire episode was that quality of interaction and that quality of storytelling and pacing, it would have been a 10, 100%. It was the middle bits that didn't work for me. And that isn't to say that it was a poor episode, but I thought a number of the storylines were incredibly rushed. I felt like we kind of rewound back to season 1. We had a lot of time in this episode, but there was a lot to happen too. This would have been better served by splitting it up into 2 episodes, maybe even 3. There was a lot going on. There were a number of storylines that likely should have been resolved prior to this episode starting, so you could spend more time with certain characters, flesh them out, and make this seem a little more real. Everything seemed just a bit rushed. Everything seemed a bit contrived, and a bit jumbled. There was a lot of confusion as to why certain things happened at certain intervals, and when they cut between things, it was almost as if we need to get everybody in one spot at one time, and when they're there, they're like, hey, we're together, let's do the thing now. There was no lead up, there was no explanation, there was no meat to it. It just seemed like they wanted to hit certain points as quick as they could to get to 1 or 2 sequences in the episode that would have been visually stunning, but maybe not as great in the storytelling. It's my opinion. So again, a 6 out of 10. Not a terrible episode, but likely, in my opinion, still better than the finale for season 1, but couldn't rate it much higher than the 6 because we had so many really amazing episodes in season 2. And in my opinion, a season finale should be better, or at least on par with the best episodes in a season. And it truly was not. So I had to be honest with the scoring for it. If this was a season 1 episode, I probably would have scored it a little bit higher because there was less great things to compare it to. But it is what it is. Like I said, not a terrible episode, but certainly my least favorite of the season. So, that being said, let's get on to the spoiler section and we will talk about things in detail about the episode. So, spoiler warning. If you have not seen the full first season and the full second season of Sony and Amazon's Wheel of Time show streaming right now on Prime Video, and if you've not read the first 3 books of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series, that's The Eye of the World, The Great Hunt, and The Dragon Reborn, be forewarned, I'm going to ruin plot points and character arcs from both mediums. Alright, let's get on to that spoiler portion of the review. Alright, so spoilers, folks. Acting first, I want to talk about one actor in particular, Donal Finn. He is perfect. I don't know what else to say. I thought Barney Harris was a great Matt. Donal Finn is exponentially better, and I didn't think that was possible. He is the perfect embodiment of the character, and I found myself smiling every single time I saw him on screen. He stole the show and stole the shots in every single scene he was in. From the lick of the lips, to the nervous twitch, to the grin, to the way he hitched his breath at certain episodes in the season. He really acted the shit out of this. He really did. It was amazing. So props to him. He is going to be, I think, going forward, a fan favorite for everyone in season 3. And I think we're going to see a little bit more Matt in season 3 than we've seen in season 2. And I'm happy for that because he's really, really good. Although he's going to steal every scene he's in my opinion. Falm was gorgeous. The way they shot certain things, the way they kind of went through. Now, we have had the behind the scenes stuff here on the channel for the sets, and I've had walkthroughs of the sets shown here in the channels from locals, because it's an open area, it's in a tourist spot. That's a small area. It really is. They did a fantastic job of making it seem like a full city and much bigger and broader than it actually is. I thought they did a really, really good job with that. The sets were fantastic. Cinematography, the way they swooped over the battle scene, it cut between multiple different cameras while the Aiel, the Shan-Chan, and the Whitecloaks were fighting. Top notch. I don't know what to say about that. The cinematography was really, really good. The Whitecloaks. I really like the Whitecloaks in this episode. Now, that isn't to say I like the storyline. We'll talk about that in a bit when I talk about things I don't like. But the Whitecloaks themselves were really well done. I liked their uniforms. I liked the way they looked. I liked the way they moved. I liked the way they fought. The fighting scenes in general were pretty well done in this particular episode. I thought it was really, really, really neat and reminded me a little bit of maybe not a John Woo action film, but it's pretty good. Like, it was really, really good action in this particular episode. Now, the scenes that I liked that I want to talk about, the cold open with Shamiel, Lews Therin, and all of the male Aes Sedai around him, sealing him. That was not only a well-shot scene, a well-acted scene, and a well-written scene, it gave us a ton of information that we didn't have as show watchers before and kind of put a ton of stuff into context. And it really made Shamiel's character that much more elevated throughout the rest of this particular episode. Ferris, again, just like Donald Finn, one of those actors that really elevates the character to another level, and I thought it was absolutely amazing. The ending scene where we finally got to see Moggy, another Forsaken that we're going to be seeing in season 3. This was a perfect scene. Like I said earlier, if this was the entire episode and it was acted like that, shot like that, and written like that, 10 out of 10. Easily 10 out of 10. That was phenomenal. I thought it was really, really, really very well done. And I'd watch that all day long, every single day. Now, I have to talk about a lot of the things I didn't like. Matt's storyline in this particular episode looked incredibly rushed. I didn't like the way he went from zero to hero in the click of a fingers. It just happened far too fast. There was no character development for him. There was no build-up. I think it had something to do with the tea. It almost seemed as if the horn gave him magic powers of seeing his past lives. I'm not 100%. He said, I remember now, and then he could fight really well. Now, we know Matt is great with the quarterstaff. We know that he has these skills, but we have not seen any of it on screen. There's been no build-up to it. He just went, like I said, zero to hero immediately. Didn't like the way his storyline was written in this particular episode. It was too rushed. Like I said earlier, we needed another episode or two to flesh out Matt. We needed another episode or two to flesh out Perrin, Perrin's relationship with Hopper, and the Aiel. So Bane, Shiad, and Avienda were amazing. I love them. They didn't get enough time on screen. I needed to see more of that. I needed to see the storyline between them and Perrin fleshed out a bit more. I needed to see more of the journey, their interaction, maybe some more of the culture, some explanations. I needed all of that. There was a lot of it, don't get me wrong, but it felt incredibly rushed, especially in this particular episode. And that brings us back to Nynaeve and Elaine. I don't even know what they were doing this episode. So we got to see a couple of very important plot points. The Suldam can be collared. Nynaeve was not really Nynaeve in this particular episode. In the last couple of episodes, I really said Zoe Robbins and Nynaeve's character were perfect. It didn't seem like the dialogue was written incredibly well for them. It almost seemed like the quality of Nynaeve's and Elaine's interactions were a bit lower than they were in the last couple episodes, and they weren't really given that much to do. I didn't like a lot of the choices that were made for them. I didn't like the pacing of it. I didn't like the fact that they spent most of the time on the ground. I expected a bit more from them and their storyline for this particular episode. And then you have Rand. From a pure show point a show watcher's point of view, Rand seemed to gain a lot of skills very, very fast. He didn't seem to have, including confidence that he didn't have, very, very quickly with no explanation whatsoever. So there was no real build-up with Rand at all. I thought they did a good job with the storyline for the rest of the season, and I thought that this episode he was just going to kind of carry on the same way, maybe learn a few things, bumble into stuff like he's been doing. Other people would help him. But no, he kind of, just like Matt, zero to hero very, very fast. I didn't enjoy that part of it with him. I did not certainly enjoy the end scene with the fight with the Shamael. I did not think it was well done at all. It just seemed odd. There was a lot of very odd things about it. It was like he was just waiting to be killed. Maybe that was his plan all along. Maybe he wasn't going to be utilizing his powers and the things he could do as a Forsaken or a Chosen that they've really set to light in the show. They're supposed to be the most dangerous people ever. And again, I'm ignoring the book series here because there are some explanations from the book series, but I'm ignoring that just from a show perspective. His character didn't seem to fit what he did in that particular ending. Like it didn't make much sense. I didn't like how they all converged on the tower. I really didn't like the dragon at all. I thought it was cheesy. I thought it was contrived. I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was kind of silly. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't expect the sky battle at all, and we are referencing the books for that because I thought it'd be cheesy. This was just as cheesy, but in a different way. I didn't like it. So yeah, I thought mainly where this particular episode lost all of its points, for me at least, was the pacing and the amount of time given to the storylines in the episode. They needed another episode to properly do these things. But I will say, as a positive note, things are set up almost perfectly for season 3. There's a lot of things set up for season 3. Set up in a different way, I think, than I expected them to be set up, but they are set up properly. We got to hear Aviendha call Rand Karakarn. We got to see Hopper get killed. Perrin finally wolf out with an axe. He finally got his axe. Finally, I hope he keeps it. We got to see Dane watch Perrin kill his dad, setting up the whole Two Rivers storyline that we're going to get in season 3. We get to see the other Forsaken released. Shamael died, which paves the way for Morden to come back, which I didn't think they were going to do, but it paves the way for that. All the pieces are put in place properly at the end of the episode, but I think just the execution and getting them there was incredibly clumsy. It's my opinion. Again, like I said earlier in the video, not everyone's going to agree with this. I'm back on social media now because it's just the way it is. Season 2 is done, so I'm going to go back to social media and see some things. I posted something pre-doing this review on X, and a lot of people disagree with what I posted. Totally fair. A lot of people really, really enjoyed this episode. I watched this episode with a couple of book readers and a ton of non-book readers. So I think 3 non-book readers and 2 book readers. And the non-book readers were kind of split. Some of them enjoyed the episode. A couple of them really didn't like it at all. And but they all agreed that it was a little confusing, a little rushed. The book readers, one of them enjoyed the episode, but again, thought it was too rushed. And the other one didn't enjoy the episode at all. And then there's me as a show watcher. I enjoyed it, but it had some problems. And as a book reader, I truly didn't like the way a lot of things went in this episode. But I'm going to save that for another video because there are a couple of things that I thought that happened in this episode that I don't understand, and I want to kind of talk through them with you folks, but that'll be a whole separate video. It's going to be me rambling for a while about changes and how they're going to handle them for the show in season 3, because I have some questions. Either way, I want to hear your thoughts on the episode down below. So far from what I've seen, a lot of people really seem to enjoy it, or they really seem to not enjoy it. There's not too many people kind of in the middle. I'm in the middle. It was an okay episode. Certainly my least favorite of the season, but not terrible. Just not great. So, middle of the road for me. So let me know your thoughts down below. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Is it middle of the road? What are some of the best things about this episode that you enjoyed? And what are some of the things that you really, truly didn't enjoy down below? I want to hear all of it from you folks. So, thank you so very much for sticking with us here at the very end. Here's to many more.